What's up?
How you doing?
Transition podcast.
You're not used to not having a guest.
Life after sports. I don't have a guest today. Actually, I do.
No, I'm not here. I'm invisible. I don't exist.
That's what I'm saying. I was going to say that you are here in the present, in the
I'm not
flesh.
a guest, though, you know?
You are a guest.
We tried.
You transitioned.
I did. I don't know if we can say that nowadays without giving context. I did not play. I guess I played a little bit of sports, but I played baseball and I was good at it.
Okay, hold on a minute.
Start us off clean. Transition Sports here with Fernando Alvarez.
Welcome to the Transition Podcast, hashtag Life After Sports. I'm Fernie Alvarez, your host, and today's guest is my brother-in-law, the guy who teaches me how to use my Instagram.
Correct, every day.
Which I still haven't figured out.
I don't get it.
I did figure some. I have figured some.
You're
stuff
very smart, and it's like one of the mysteries of the world.
No, so I do have my brother-in-law here, Lewis, who is also our creative media
guy thing, person, man.
Yeah, the guy who.
Will you give me money to do this at a high level? Pays me. He doesn't give me money. He doesn't give me anything.
No,
Except for this swag right here on my legs, dog. That was my sister and him for Christmas.
I know. I honestly still can't believe that we have a media department at an insurance firm.
It doesn't make a lot of sense. But I like. Okay, so.
But going back, hold on. I want to stop real quick. So
preface.
going back, I do want to take away the thought process that exists out there. Just because I happen to be an ex-athlete. And I have a podcast called The Transition
Life
After Sports does not mean that we only want athletes to come on the podcast.
Correct.
By nature, it is always natural for me to relate to athletes, and I happen to have a lot of relationships in that world. So it's a much easier and smooth. It's a talking point. It's like a touch point that you have. It's easier to get guests that are ex-athletes.
Yeah, and every ex-athlete wants to talk about their athlete days. All of them.
They all do, and it's because the transition from sports to real life.
Well, it's funny when you say the transition from sports, right? I played baseball growing up. I was pretty good at baseball, but there was a point where I realized that my physique was not going to keep up with all the guys around me. Everybody was getting to I was always skinny. I've weighed the same as I weigh right now. Let's put our phones on mute. Sorry about that. It's all good. You own this place, so you can make all the mistakes you want. There was a point where I was like, my body's just not gonna keep growing. I got a little taller and longer, but some of these guys were getting and they were probably working out and putting the time into it. I'm not saying that I can't get jacked like that, but there was a point where I was in high school, but it's not really a transition for me. So particularly when you talk about transition, it has to it's birthed from the mindset of I'm going to do sports for a living. And now I have to now because of the game, I got cut out of it. Some people walk away and they start to transition, but part of your story and why it's fascinating is that no nice way of saying this, but baseball kicked you out. Baseball chewed you up, and you're bro, you went through the ringer with baseball.
Well, you know how we always talk about sometimes the game outgrows you?
Correct.
Well, and I wasn't going to play in the big leagues, so the game outgrew me, right? If you're not a big leaguer, then it's because the game outgrew you. There's better players than you.
And you can't make a career out of a collegiate athlete.
You can't make a career even as a minor leaguer.
You can't.
I could have stayed in coaching and whatnot, but, the game did prepare me for what I'm a big leaguer in now, which is business and life.
And you're a big leaguer.
And I would have never in my life imagined, ever in my wildest dreams, could I have scripted this. That's what's weird. You know how people say, do you have a vision, and do you see where you're going? And I'm one to say one to talk about that.
I know where you're going.
But there's also this room for error there, where you can envision something, and you may have plans. And
I had plans for my life at 20 that I was going to be somewhere at 28. And if you're telling me that I'm doing this right now at this age, 8 years ago, I'm like, no way, bro. No chance.
Yeah, I mean.
And but to your point, it's transition, a true transition in our context is I believe I'm going this way, and life has made me to go this way. And for me to change my trajectory, all this space, I need to make it up.
Yeah.
And that's where people get stuck and they get lost and they don't know where to go.
Well, people are afraid to pivot.
Yeah. It's funny. Leo this morning tells me, he goes, bro, you pivot quick, bro. And I was like, I'm a second baseman.
You've got to have the ability to pivot,
nature.
because if you can't pivot, you can't adjust. And this whole game of life is a game of adjustments.
We posted something today that you said about
easier said than done.
Correct.
But it's my advantage.
It's always easier said than done. But you said something in the post that we made this morning, this afternoon rather, where you said that Melissa told you when she got our COO, when she first got hired and you're having your preliminary dinners, that she told you the only thing constant in life is change.
She did say that.
And naturally, Melissa's brilliant, but that is, once you learn to accept that, change doesn't really bother you anymore. I started seeing change as something that I'm like, okay, if we're changing, if everyone on board is changing, because we're moving forward. All right, good.
You know why people don't change? Because it's uncomfortable.
Highly uncomfortable.
It's painful, right? But pain only lasts so long.
It's painful if depending on how you look at it. Well, some change is forcibly painful.
Of course.
Adjusting to a death in the family, that's painful.
I agree, 100%. But so to narrow it down, it's just uncomfortable.
Correct.
So whenever there's change coming, you got to get uncomfortable, and you have to be okay with the feelings
Of uncomfortable.
of being uncomfortable. And even myself, like, I'm still a human being.
Hopefully. I think
been-
you're a cyborg, personally.
life matures you and life makes you stronger and spiritually stronger and whatnot, but change is still change, So
Change.
like,
Speaking about change, I'm gonna pivot quick.
Go ahead.
So one of the things that we've been talking about, in, behind the scenes transition podcast, is adding like a third element in our hosting and how we do this. And part of that is adding a third person when we have a guest, and that's gonna be uncomfortable. I still think that we should try it out. I'm fleshing this out live in front of the camera, but it's like, how do we continue to find ways to be innovative and change and keep people engaged and make Fernie better at this? Because Fernie's only done 26 episodes of a podcast. People don't realize you've only done a podcast 26 times.
I'm getting better, dude.
What was that? 29 times. Sorry, one of our producers is telling me 29.
How many is
29.
29 will be this one.
This
29.
is 29.
There we go, 29.
So part of it is like, okay,
I was
the
born
change.
July 29.
That's
There you go.
a
Solid
what's
number.
what's like the opposite of an omen, like when something good happens. But like part of that is understanding that here at TTP, like we need to also constantly be changing, and the only reason I'm comfortable with that is because I see you as one of my leaders is comfortable with that.
Yeah.
And mind you, trust me, like I say this as his brother-in-law, I have to deal with Fernie on a lot of things, and Fernie initially doesn't like change because no one does, but then Fernie's the type of person that wants to change because he's like, if there's change presented, you know what I mean? Like you embrace change in a way that I haven't seen. It's helped me learn how to embrace change. So part of that is, how do we add a third element? How do we evolve our podcast here to really, introduce people to not only what your heart is, which is helping people transition from at first it was helping athletes go from an athletic life to a regular life.
And that's still going to remain as is.
That's the core.
That's the core of it. But yeah, it can be any transition.
Any transition in life, career wise, those are the things that the stories that are birthed in there are pretty incredible. And so in light of change, I actually kind of like, if I'm going to have the floor with you, I had a couple topics that I kind of wanted to hit with you, right? One of them is like, we have a lot of meat and potatoes here, but then I got some dessert here. I kind of want to start with the cookies.
Let's go for it.
Talk to me about the Astros cheating, bro.
Oh, man.
Talk to me about, because like...
So look,
Let's get the story, right? Ex-pitcher, the Astros, one of the pitchers, I don't know his name, one of the pitchers that was pitching on that staff kind of was like, I can't live with this. I'm going to reveal what's happening here. What do you do, bro? Like, does everyone on the team know? Like, do all the players, is everyone in on it? Is it like an executive level thing? And then their players are like, bro, we busted our ass here.
I'm sure there's a lot of unknowns.
If you look at the splits between away games and home games and their hitting,
the statistics are crazy.
It's kind of
it's
like,
much easier to hit something you know it's coming.
Correct.
I mean, the hardest thing about baseball is hitting a baseball. I mean, you have a round bat and a round ball, and homie is 6'4", and he throws 95, and he has a breaking ball, he has a changeup, and you got to guess what he's throwing, or you got to sit on his zone. So the point is, it's the hardest thing to do in all sports.
I think it's one of the hardest things.
Scientifically, it's the hardest thing to do.
Statistically,
You have a moving ball
going fast.
With a round bat. So you have a round ball and a round bat, and you have to you got to make solid contact to try to get a hit.
So I want a couple perspectives from you.
So
if I want a perspective.
So here's the thing.
I'm
not cool with what they were doing.
No one should be.
I will say, as I was always, as an ex-player, trying to steal signs myself, right? But that's a part of the game.
As a player.
Well, yes, but
I agree with that.
let me reverse track that. What they did was compromise the integrity of the game because they brought in AI, they brought in camera. I mean, they took it to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
But when you're on second base and you're taking a secondary, you better believe
I'm gonna try to look at
that
the catcher.
I'm trying to look at the catcher. Yeah. I'm trying to look at his setup. I'm looking at a lot of times I'm looking at outfielders because outfielders have a bad tendency of shifting towards where the catcher's shifting or reading a swing. So
I get you. I get what you're saying. Essentially, you're saying that the outfield can tell you what's going to happen.
A lot of times. Sometimes they give it away. Like I'm sure I gave it away. There was a lot of times where if I saw that it was like you're still fourth batter and it's a lot of breaking balls
and he's pulling
and he's a right-handed hitter, I'm not hogging the line down the third base line. I'm shifting. I'm taking away the middle. And I'm trying to I'm playing the gap, taking away doubles, and sometimes I'm even shifting a little more
into center field,
taking the risk that if he turns on a baseball, it's an automatic double. But anyhow, my point is that there's certain ways of doing it, and it happens every single day. But how they did it was they literally compromised the integrity of the game. With that said, what's most interesting about this whole situation is it all starts from the top. So the unknown is the leadership
privy
or inviting, the head coach and initiating this? I mean,
did it come from the owner?
So here's the thing, right? The owner's not going to fire himself.
No.
So the reason why they fire people, it's a complete PR move.
Yeah, 100%.
That's all it is. That's all this is.
It's damage control.
It's damage. Yeah, like Carlos Beltran was going to be the head coach for the Mets. His first coaching job, he gets canned, and he's a player. Dude, I don't know that I agree with that. I don't know enough of so all we know is whatever the media feeds us, right?
Correct.
Whatever and the media nowadays is, in my opinion, who knows? We just never know the truth anymore. But my point is that it's been a part of the game since the beginning of time.
Stealing signs.
But
there's an organic way to do that.
Well, in football, why do you have an offensive coordinator and you have a backup quarterback with this huge poster board, hiding?
Why is he hiding his mouth with the plate? Yeah.
Everybody's always trying to take an edge. It's a part of the competition, and that way it's clean, right? It's a part of the game.
So you're suggesting that cheating in all sports is part of the game, and let's not call it cheating.
I don't want to call it cheating. It's a part of the game. It's baseball is a game of being smart and anticipation.
And if you're sloppy, I'm going to capitalize.
If I'm ahead of you, correct.
Yeah,
I'm trying to beat you to the curve. Right?
So then,
why would I not try to pick up your plays, or why would I not try to pick up your pitch?
Yeah,
that's a part of the game. I don't think.
So then,
I don't think life is black and white. I think it's a little gray.
No, I think so too.
Now, when you do make it.
It feels like the Astros constituted cheating. They're like, "Hey, we're gonna do this."
They took it to a whole nother level. See that's wrong. If it's players, sitting behind a dugout and saying, "Hey guys, look at the guy's sign. Every time he touches his belt, they're stealing." Or every time the catchers shift outside, it's
a
this
flatter,
pitch.
Yeah.
My point is that's just a part of the game. But when you bring in computer systems, you bring in camera systems, that's wrong.
You're taking it to another level.
You've compromised the integrity of the game.
Now it's like relax.
Now you want to know the funny part? I'm sure other teams are doing it. They just didn't get caught.
Dude, that's why I don't watch baseball anymore, man. You don't
think it happens in football? Why about the Patriots, dude?
Patriots are always cheating.
Why didn't Robert Kraft fire Bill Belichick?
Because Bill Belichick's the best coach of all time, and part of his game is to.
Well, what are you gonna do? You're gonna let go of Tom Brady?
Have you ever thrown a deflated ball?
It was to his advantage.
I zipped that.
Did he do it?
Probably.
So right?
I mean, the litigation said
That he did.
Right?
So technically
He's a cheater.
he's negligent.
Yeah. Or he's guilty.
And he's the GOAT.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna, like I've been
Like
a
nobody-
Dolphin fan, and every year I got my ass beat by Tom Brady.
He's a bad dream. He's like Jeter. Like you don't want Jeter up to
I
bat
don't-
in the
yeah,
bottom of the ninth inning.
No, I
2
don't
outs.
want Brady with the ball in his hands at the 1 yard line.
Nobody
Their
does.
own 1 yard line.
No.
So, I wanted your take on the Astros cheating because I was like, man, this must be a hot topic. I know
It is a hot topic. It's sad. They compromise the integrity of the game. The game had been clean.
For the most
especially
part.
Yeah, I mean,
In
look,
that
I
regard.
think the whole steroid
In that
issue
regard.
really also compromised baseball, and baseball. You know, you're talking about an industry that's worth $10 billion.
a year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
it's
it's worth. That's what it's worth. $10 billion.
The total.
Okay.
I got you.
And maybe more now. I don't know, but I mean, yeah, man, it's. Dude, you know what? We live in an era that you can't hide, dude. Big Brother's watching.
I have a really deep internal belief that everything will get exposed.
So do I.
If you are genuinely just look at historically, it may take a while for some people. Some people may be able to hide it for a long time. I have this rule with myself that I tell myself. I'm like, no one's catching me. If I do something wrong, I'm like, damn, I shouldn't have done that. I'm tattling on myself.
Yeah, at some point, the truth will unveil itself.
Always. Historically, for me at least.
It's crazy.
That's
It's crazy, dude. I mean, like, you have like, I don't know if
You cheat and you won a
let's say,
World
like, you're
Series. What happens?
The biggest drug dealers in the world that were making, I don't know, millions of
Chapo.
dollars.
Yeah, this guy.
I mean,
They always get caught.
at some point they all get caught and they all end up in jail or they end up dead. I mean, history just shows us the fact that at some point you're going to get caught. So
the wages,
yeah, I
the
think
wages
it's-
of sin or death, bro.
I think it's a sad thing for baseball that it came to this. It's a sad
Do they
thing.
vacate that World Series? Do you give it to the Dodgers?
I don't, dude. I have no idea. I mean, first of all, a true competitor is not going to accept that. Like, you can't call a Dodger and say like, "Oh, by the way, now you're the winner because we caught the Astros cheating."
true competitor.
Like a true competitor is like, we're kind of like we have a little bit.
There's
I know
dignity.
I
I have
talk about
dignity.
not having ego, but it's just like,
It's not ego, it's dignity.
I want to beat you on the field, fair and square. Like, if anything, the Dodgers players like, hey,
Yeah, but
let's
they
get
weren't
back
given-
together and let's play again and let's have a real game. Like that would be my opinion.
Yeah.
Can we just do this again? But
Same squad.
That's not reality.
Same
That's
everything.
not, that's
Nah,
not,
that can't
so,
happen. So
what do you got next?
I got a little checklist. So yesterday we had and I'm gonna very tread carefully here. We had a very interesting event happen at the office yesterday where I was in a very cool position there, and one of the things I noticed is that here at JAG, now moving a little bit of business here, we have some very, very good people on our team.
Mm-hmm.
I learned that yesterday, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a question I was asking myself during the meeting when I was involved is, man, like, what separates us from the competition? Because right now we had a client in the room. I could say that we had a client in the room, and we were just doing what we do, pitching JAG to them. And in my head, I was like, I learned after, but I want to hear from you as a principal here. Mm-hmm. What is it that separates JAG from some of these big alphabets, some of these bigger houses that we, go up to bat with?
Simple. Authenticity, transparency, and expertise, and a relentless approach to winning the game. There is no firm in America that we are not willing to go up against in the space that we play in. None.
In our game. Space
in our
we play
game.
in.
Like
Well, define space we play in.
Our approach is unique in the sense that it's so relentless, but yet so smart.
What I
And
saw
so
yesterday
that-
was magic.
Okay, because you know what you saw? You saw a very well balanced team.
Yeah, man.
So what we've identified is fill in the gaps.
Correct.
We're deep, and we're only getting deeper.
Correct.
Every single year we become that much more deeper, and the deeper you become, the more powerful and the more strong you become.
Well, one of the things I noticed yesterday is one of the...
And we care, dude. We genuinely care.
Go ahead.
Why do I say that matters? And I know it sounds emotional. It matters because we never make it about us. And by us not making it about us, the ball ends up in our hands. Because at the end of the day,
The client sees that.
The client not only sees that, but when you're dealing with clients at the level that we're dealing with,
correct.
First of all, they want to know that they can trust the individuals they're handing their assets to. Number one, they want to know that you can play on the same field as them. Can you hang with me? Why should I give you, $1 billion of my assets? Who are you? Where do you come from? You understand?
Like that, you just let me elaborate on something.
There.
That's what you just said was kind of crazy. So if we have to edit this out, we will. But the client yesterday that we were dealing with is a very wealthy man that has a lot of very beautiful assets here locally, and
we have current clients. We can talk about current clients that have over $1 billion in assets with us.
And what you just said, it didn't click in my head until you just said it right now. Mm-hmm. Someone's trusting our firm with over $1 billion worth of their assets.
Yeah, and it's my job and it's our job to protect
that it doesn't go to hell if something happens.
We have to protect his net worth and his balance sheet at all costs.
And his legacy.
100%.
His or hers.
Correct.
And I mean, dude, yesterday, like being in that,
because everything that individual. So a lot of times when you capture these, like, when you're dealing with clients like this, it's usually generational money, and it's all about legacy, and it's all about when my children inherit this, are they going to be well protected?
Are they going to be set up?
So the play is no longer about them. The play
it outgrows it.
Correct.
So anyways, yeah, it was like being in that room yesterday. So yesterday, Doug had invited me into it because you wanted someone technical in case some of the presentations went wrong. Mm-hmm. I sat like a fly on the wall, absorbing, watching you guys, Doug, and the rest of the team really play like a high stakes game. Let's call it like one of our World Series. Like I felt like I was in Game 6 of the World Series. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And we took it home, and we. I don't like.
Let me put to you how it works in Fernie's mind.
Here, I'm gonna ask you. Good. Let me set you up though. I noticed something about you yesterday. You had 3 lines. You opened up, right? You established, and then you allowed your team to really ride that rest of that meeting. Mm-hmm. So like I'm looking at you, knowing you personally, knowing you professionally, knowing your sensibilities, and I'm watching Fernie exhibit constraint and exhibit true teammateship. Teamwork. Yeah. There you go. Teammateship. So go ahead. Give me your what's going through your brain right there?
I have to play my game, and I already know what my teammates' game is, right? So my strength is to get people in the room, get people comfortable, start the conversation off as to why and the purpose that we're here, and then I let the other experts talk about the technicalities that need to be spoken about, if they need to be spoken about, right? So my strength is that I can sit in a room with anybody and get deals, make deals happen, right? I know how to do that. I don't know why. It's always born that way, right?
Yeah, I really believe that you're just born that way.
So what you do is it's very practical. I have other people that are going to cover my weaknesses,
correct,
and cover my gaps, and vice versa. So what you saw yesterday was real. It was just it's a team, and Fernie plays this position, and this person plays that position, and this person, and then as long as I do my job, then I can help the other person do their job, and vice versa, and vice versa, and vice versa.
Got it.
So you probably saw me in a very calm.
You were super calm.
Super calm because
the back of your neck was on fire red, but you were calm.
Yeah, well, because I'm an intense guy, and I'm looking to win the game, but I also know that I'm not a one-man team and I can't win the game by myself. So I've been doing this my whole life. It's like
only tennis and golf.
No, but
and not even.
But in golf, you have a caddy telling you where to hit the ball, and identifying the wind speed for you, and telling you should use this club.
I don't play golf.
There's no sports that can be nothing in life is intended to be done alone. Nothing. I can't think of one thing.
Yeah, I agree.
So, what you saw yesterday is it's who we are. So So going back, every day here is like it's like practice. Like you show up, right?
Correct.
And every day Fernie's in the outfield and he's taking, I'm taking ground balls, I'm taking my fly balls, I'm playing the warning track, I'm getting a feel for the stadium that I'm visiting.
Every stadium
I'm playing
is
away.
different.
Every stadium is different. To me, that means every personnel is different. That's how it works in my brain. So if Fernie plays for the Marlins and he's gonna go play in Yankee Stadium, I have to identify, Yankee Stadium's dimensions, the warning track.
If you're in Boston, that right field is shorter.
Yeah. So I'm constantly always identifying the environment that I'm in. And then, Doug's taking ground balls at shortstop. Lewis is in the bullpen getting his work in, his reps in it, his long toss. Every day is a preparation for that game day.
For that,
you're in the game. Correct. But so that game happened to take place in our office, so you got to see it. A lot of times that's just happening in other facilities. We'll call them away games.
Away games. The
But
first
that
home game in
happens
a while.
lot. That's how this play starts. So now that's kind of gives you guys a revelation of how this whole thing works. Wow. You
I'm
almost enlightened to what really happens.
For me, like I found it, even though my contribution was, nothing, but
no, your contribution was what you guys did was set up the
presentation, make sure nothing went to hell. I got.
By the way, it was an awesome.
I got on base.
Yeah, it was awesome.
No, it was good. It was good. But I think the biggest thing is like learning from you guys, like understanding how you guys work in a team, understanding that like you guys have personalities out here when we're practicing day to day. It can give you a certain air of how you guys are, but once you guys are in the game, it's a different thing. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like I felt like it was like LeBron-like in the sense that everyone wants LeBron to score 45 points a game, but if you really know LeBron wants to get 25 and 15 assists. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And I felt like yesterday was a big moment for you. You gave a lot of assists and you were like just dishing, bro.
You gotta know how to spread the court.
Yeah. And that court was spread, and then
it's your job to know who to pass the basketball to at when.
The level of trust.
The conversation.
The trust is what I went away with.
That's taken a decade. I can look at Doug and I can tell you what Doug's gonna say before Doug says it, when he's gonna say it, and how he's gonna say it, and vice versa.
Yeah, he's true. That's true. What you just said is true.
We've been in a lot of games together.
So okay, with that being said,
I know when to shut up. I know when to talk. He knows when to shut up.
He knows when to talk.
Lewis knows when to shut up. Lewis knows when to talk.
So we're gonna wrap up real quick. Given that the person we were dealing with, he made a comment yesterday that for me was, I loved it. He was like, "Oh, I've been seeing you guys everywhere. Mm-hmm. And a lot of that has to do with the insane push that we've been making, with Juan and Johnny over there, the team with our social media and putting JAG on the map social media wise. So my question to you is,
go ahead.
No, go ahead. Cut me off.
I call them attention platforms.
Correct.
Social media is almost like, yes, we're trying to be social, but we're not trying to be really social. We're trying to be educative. We're trying to pioneer.
That's a good word. That's the word I used.
Okay. The insurance industry lacked communication, culture, transparency, authenticity. It's lacked it.
It's always felt like insurance is like in a bunker somewhere, and
because
we
it's
know
always
we need
been
it.
the necessary evil that nobody wants to talk about.
Correct.
Right. What we have done is we're just showing you our cards, and taking an industry that lacked communication, attention, and saying, guys, consumers, this is important, and here's why. And it's through the, evolving progression of life and the internet. And
the reason I bring it up, is because we're on the transition podcast, so naturally, understanding like transitioning from a company that was not doing any sort of work on attention on these attention platforms, i.e., social media. Mm-hmm. What has your adjustment been? What has your transition been going from that type of mindset as an owner to now where we're at now, where you have someone like Johnny who runs TTP for us, requiring things from you? You know what I'm saying? Like, how is that transition?
I would have, again, here we go again. I would have never in my wildest dreams ever imagined that we would have a media department. And not only a media department with 3 studs. I look at you guys like JAG. You guys all have your strengths and your weaknesses.
Correct.
You somehow balance each other out. Sometimes you tell yourselves to go screw each other. Sometimes you don't. We do it. Doug Lewis and I do it every single day. So you guys remind me of us in my own little way. Like, it's almost like you are a bucket within the big bucket.
Correct.
Make sense? There is no doubt in my mind that it was the best decision this organization has ever made, was to try to become a media distribution center for the industry, for entrepreneurs, for anybody.
Yeah.
Because we had so much. I've never seen a place with so many diamonds in the rough.
Here.
But I guarantee you I would find them in other organizations as well.
They're out there.
But other organizations weren't willing to expose them. No, let me tell you something. You know where companies fail? When they forget to know who their people are. And what I mean by that is, these people that work for you, right? They're not just people that work for you. They're people with lives and families, and more importantly, with stories.
Correct.
And when you find out who that individual is, what his purpose is, what his passion is, and what his why is, and you can find a way, whether or not you think it makes sense to position that person with his talents in your organization, follow me here. I know this is going to sound extremely unorthodox, okay? I'm going to use Juan as an example. Juan worked at the largest insurance firm on the planet prior to him coming to JAG, okay? Nobody at that organization knew that his skill set was to write, his passion was to write, his passion was to express himself in a certain way, and to have the ability to do that in writing.
Yeah, to be able to articulate it.
Right? So they could have said, think about this, right? Juan, moving forward, any email that's extremely important, that's sensitive to a client, we want you to write it for us.
Filter it, yeah.
Or filter it. You review it. They're so caught up in the now, and like their vision is almost like as big as they are.
They're forcing fish to climb trees.
Because you know what happens? Your organizations force people to chase and not to build.
Correct.
Everybody's just trying to cover their ass. And you have a guy in there who knows how to write, that can maybe supplement for the producer, that's a hell of a producer, but he doesn't express himself excellent
which exists.
in email. But one bad email can tarnish a relationship.
Correct.
One bad email can tarnish an entire relationship because emails can be interpreted incorrectly, like a text message.
There's no body language, there's no cadence. Yeah.
So we are a very
like a text message, yeah,
open-minded organization that wants to look at its talent, identify players, and say, look, I know that you think you're a shortstop, but you're really a right fielder. And if you play right field for us, you're going to be a badass.
Well, the reason that, correct. And the reason that I think like someone like a Juan or like a me or like some of those.
That's why I collaborate business and sports. To me, it's all the same thing.
Again, like I said, like I didn't transition from a sports thing. You know what I mean? Like I played sports growing up. I'm a huge football fan, grew up a huge Marlins fan, so I get it. But just being able to see you guys not force squares into circle pegs or square pegs into circle, holes has taught me a lot too. That Fernie's more interested in Juan. Like Fernie cares about Juan. Where do how do I best tap into what you're really strong at so I can utilize you, so I can benefit the organization and ultimately benefit you? So no, I think you guys do that.
That's just an example. You're not
asking fish to climb trees.
I was listening to a podcast that A-Rod and Big Cat did with Howard Schwartz, who's the president and CEO of Starbucks. And This guy loves sports. He owned the Sonics. I didn't know that about him. It's a great podcast. I encourage.
Did he sell the Sonics from Seattle, or did they?
I'm not sure. He just
That's
mentioned that he owned it,
Still
and he
sad.
loved the baseball. He loved the Yankees and whatnot.
Still very sad.
But he went to school with Tom Izzo.
Head coach for the
Michigan State.
Correct.
And he loved basketball. Him and Tom Izzo were very good friends. And he said something that was amazing that Tom Izzo told him. And this is what he uses at Starbucks, and it's why Starbucks is an experience. It's why I've always wanted to change the insurance experience, right?
Correct.
You do that by bringing in culture, expertise, the execution of workflow and how things migrate, right? Tom Izzo says, I only recruit players that live it.
Break it down. Leave us.
Listen to what he's saying. He told Howard Schwartz, I only recruit players that live it.
Live it.
Live it.
Got it.
What he means is, it's why I say JAG is a lifestyle. It never stops and never goes away. It's just I live it. And I want our associates and our personnel to live it. So you're a part of something.
Give me an example of how you live that JAG
It
life.
never turns off. It's here. It's something. It's a lifestyle. It's just all I know. It's what I do. It's my game.
I'll tell you what. Here's an example of that. Ever since I started working at JAG,
But think about it this way. Right now, I'm the owner of JAG. I'm one of the principals.
yeah.
I got to find the right players that live the organization, that live. They live it. They're so passionate
I have an example
about
of that.
being here.
Yeah, that's the thing. So it's when you say that about JAG specifically, it doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, I live insurance. Like I don't do none of the insurance stuff here. But I will say this, and I credit this to the three of you guys. Ever since I started working here, my freelance, my wife, all my business, my off, like my side hustles have blown up. And a part of it is me looking at you guys and saying, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the essential water. I don't know if it's, whatever it is. There's something about how we do things at JAG that it doesn't end when I leave this building.
Like I said, it becomes contagious.
It's very contagious.
You ever walk into a place or into a room and you just feel a light and you're like,
I'm safe here. I'm good here.
No, and you feel the vibe.
Yeah.
That's what we try. It's an intentional move every single day here to create that energy.
I think we do a very good job of that.
JAG is just powered by passion, bro. We live it.